Murdoch defends against Timo Masua. That's live boxing next.
Buy a computer or notebook from Harvey Norman and be using it in no time. Pay just $99.95 extra and we'll arrange for an experienced trainer to spend an hour in your home to install and configure your new equipment. For an extra $149.95, get the 24/7 telephone support pack. Help for last-minute, late-night and public holiday computer issues. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Holler for help. See Harvey Norman Technical Support when you need it most.
Not everyone is meant to make a difference. But for me, the choice to live an ordinary life is no longer an option.
Pete, look, you're changing. I know. I went through exactly the same thing at your age.
How?
No, not exactly. What was that thing? I don't know. Whatever it is, somebody has to stop it.
He saved my life twice, and I've never even seen his face.
Oh, him.
Spider-Man, coming soon to Showtime.
Cricket, South Africa, West Indies in a 2-test tour, plus Pakistan, New Zealand in a 2-test tour, live. That's December on Fox Sports.
You're watching Fox Sports.
Hi there, fight fans. I'm John Casey. Great to have you with us for the latest edition of Big Time Boxing here on Fox Sports. On this occasion, we're coming to you from Fort Knox in Melbourne with Australia versus New Zealand in a 5-fight series. The Wallabies have beaten the All Blacks. Now our boxers are looking to get some victories against New Zealand as well. We have the former world amateur champion Anton Solopov in action, looking to extend his undefeated reign here in Australia. And our feature event will be for the Pan Asian Boxing Association light heavyweight title and a top 15 ranking in the world. Paul Murdoch makes his 7th defence of this title. He goes in against Timo Masua, who you may remember some 2.5 years ago was a victim of Anthony Mundine. So a lot to look forward to, and let's look at the program as it will come your way, and we'll get underway with a super middleweight clash over 6 3-minute rounds between Brad Reid and Mike Barry. Barry, a southpaw from New Zealand who's a 35-year-old, made his debut last year with just 1 draw on his log. Brad Reid has twice won the Australian Tough Man competition. He is going to be serving it up to Mike Barry in our opening event. Then through to a light heavyweight clash over 4 3s between Andy Bam Bam McEwen and Bruce Glosier from New Zealand. Glosier will enjoy a height and reach advantage and does have a good pedigree with his father and other members of the family being involved in boxing. But Bam Bam McEwen, well, 8 wins as an amateur, 5 first-round KOs. Expect some fireworks when we get to look at Andy McEwen. Then through to a welterweight clash between Lee Purcell and Jamie Waru, the current New Zealand lightweight champion. Big edge and experience here for the Kiwi with 22 bouts as opposed to just 6 for Lee Purcell, who is a former Australian amateur champion. He has designs on a state title here in Victoria. This is a step up in class for him. Our junior middleweight clash over 8 3s features Dale Westerman against Arama Tabuai, both former Australian amateur champions. Westerman as a boxer and a kickboxer. He's an ex-state champion here in Victoria as well. And on this comeback, Dale Westerman has put together some good performances. This is going to be one of the highlights highlights of the night. Our junior middleweight clash over 8 threes between Anton Solopov and Tuvela Ione from New Zealand should also be very impressive to look at. Solopov undefeated in 3 fights, former world amateur champion. Ione from New Zealand, well, he's challenged for the New Zealand title twice, but he's been out of the ring for 4 years. Solopov has been busy. That does not bode well for our New Zealand visitor. And then our feature event for the Pan Asian Boxing Association light heavyweight title. Paul Murdoch, a great champion with 7 defences, and Timo Masua, who's been out of action for 2 years since Anthony Mundine brought him undone. Can he do it tonight and get some revenge here? Well, let's find out from the former world champion, Barry Michael. Great to have you on board again, Barry. And Australia against New Zealand, we just love beating the Kiwis.
Don't we ever, John? And I think it's going to be not a lot different tonight. There's a fair bit of inactivity there with the Kiwis. Masua, as you said, hasn't fought since he fought the current WBA super middleweight world champion Anthony Mundine when he was KO'd devastatingly in, I think it was 3 rounds. I'm sure he'll take it up to Paul Murdoch, but for my money, Paul Murdoch, he's got one of the best left jabs in the business. He's got a beautiful left rip. He's a fully accomplished champion, and I can only see that going to the Aussies inside the distance. Inside the distance, yeah, for that one. Anton Solopov is another who we think might win inside the distance. He's been very impressive since coming from Russia to Australia. Anton Solopov, if you look at his amateur pedigree, it's reminiscent of what Costa Tszyu did as an amateur. He's been a world amateur champion. He's fought all over the world. He is a southpaw. I've seen him fight on 3 occasions now. Very impressed with him, but he's learning his trade, and this is going to be an interesting fight for him. All right, well, looking forward to your comments throughout the night. Hope you can stay with us here for the live Big Time Boxing promotion, and the action not too far away. First up, Australia versus New Zealand. Brad Reid, now based here in Victoria, formerly from far north Queensland, and Mike Barry from Wellington, the southpaw, a 35-year-old who's going to be giving away a lot of experience here. He's also going to be giving away some age, and Brad Reid's reach advantage of some 4 centimetres or 1.5 inches in the old language will stand him in good stead as well. Brad Reid has had 13 fights. He's won a couple via way of knockout, and Mike Barry has only seen action once before, and that was on the 25th of July last year, where he had a 4-round draw with Frank Asatia in New Zealand, and it hasn't been seen since. But of course, Brad Reid we have seen a lot of here on Big Time Boxing. This is Mike Barry, 35-year-old. One of 5 Australia v New Zealand matchups we have to look forward to here tonight on Big Time Boxing, including our feature event where Paul Murdoch faces Timo Masua. The Kiwis are over here to create some havoc, and they're going to have their hands full because at the moment Australian boxing has rarely been in better shape in recent history. At the moment Australia has 3 world champions if you include Nathan Sting's WBU bantamweight title. It is a lesser title, but still he is the world champ, along with the great Costa Tszyu and Anthony Mundine that Barry Michael has told you about. But do you realise that there are 7 boxers in Australia who are either the champion or ranked inside the world top 5 at the moment, and we have 10 boxers inside the world top 10. Australian boxing is in great shape at the moment, Barry. We just need a little bit more mainstream publicity from our newspaper friends and others to keep these boys motoring along. We sure do, John. The fight game, I feel, is on the verge of another big boom. As you know, we've had the periods where boxing's been flat for many years. But as you said, when you get a couple of local boys that win world titles, which we've got a few now, and unfortunately Hussein was lost a tough decision in Thailand, which was a tough job for him, but hopefully he'll get another shot in the not too distant future. And we really have got some top world-class boys out there. Exactly. Paul Briggs is very close to a world title fight. In fact, his next appearance could be for the world title. And Skinny Hussein, well, if you look at Skinny Hussein, the only loss on his record is to Manny Pacquiao, and Manny Pacquiao just stopped Marcos Antonio Barrera in 11 rounds, which makes Skinny Hussein look pretty good, I reckon. Sure does, and Pacquiao says he's going to stay up at the featherweights. It could really open up for Skinny Hussein, and he deserves a crack. But for the moment, Australia v New Zealand, Brad Reid and Mike Barry are ready to go, and so is Mr. Andy Raymond.
Welcome to Fort Knox. It is Australia versus New Zealand here, live around Australia on your sports leader. We start at super middleweight over 6 3-minute rounds. Introducing first and representing the red corner, he hails from New Zealand. 1 fight, 1 draw. Weighing in at 75.5 kilograms, ladies and gentlemen, TNT, Mike Barry. Fighting out of the blue corner, formerly of North Queensland, he now resides in Blackburn, trained under Maury Thomson at the Fighters Factory, a two-time Australian tough man champion. 4 wins and 2 knockouts on his resume, weighing in slightly heavier at 76.1 kilos. Ladies and gentlemen, Bad Intentions, Brad Reid. The referee for this contest, who else to start the night? Mr. Bryce Birtwistle. Your 3 ringside judges, Brian Membry, Gus Mercurio, and Mr. John Wheeler.
Okay, gentlemen, I've spoken to you both in the back room. You've got no questions? Listen to my commands at all times. Remember, the 3 knockdown rules in effect, standing 8 downs in effect at my discretion. Understand that? Protect yourselves at all times. Good luck.
No-nonsense referee Bright Birtwistle, a favourite here in the fight game in Victoria. There's a lot of promoting and training himself. And we're set to go. And Brad Reid, well, he's now based with Maury Thomson. And he is on the improve. He's looking for a victory here against Mike Barry. He's taken to the professional ranks late in his career, a 35-year-old. And since his only appearance back in July last year, Brad Reid's had 4 fights. So he should have the advantage there in terms of having been a little busier. Mike Barry, the southpaw.
Yeah, you'd think that Brad Reid, you know, would be pretty well heavily favoured here. Mike Barry, as you said, one professional fight at 35 years of age. He certainly has had a late start in the southpaw stance, as you said, John.
Brad Reid looking to get to work early here, digging to the body of Mike Barry.
Good uppercut there, but good punching from Brad Reid against his southpaw opponent. Brad Reid's looking for that right hand early here. There it is again.
He's backing up Mike Barry at the moment. Scheduled for 6 threes. Brad Reid looking for a quick night. Brad Reid has always given the impression of being much better than his record might suggest. He has tackled the biggest names in his weight division in Australia, and that's why he's only won 4 of his 13 fights.
He has. He's been in against some of the top-notch boys, and he gave Ian McLeod a very, very hard fight for the Middleweight Championship of Australia last year. Lovely short right hand there for Brad Reid.
Well, on top here in the first round again, it's Brad Reid landing on Mike Barry, the New Zealand representative, the southpaw, with his hands full here, middle stages of this first round. He's been on the receiving end for 90 seconds.
He has. He's getting nailed with that right hand, and at the moment Reid's off target with his left hook to the body, but when he starts getting that timing right, that's going to hurt.
Mike Barry just trying to fight his way off the ropes at the moment. Brad Reid all over him, right on top of the situation. Clearly ahead so far. Big right hand from Brad Reid, and another one.
That was a pearler, that one. Nearly dislodged Barry's mouth guard. He's getting hit with every right hand at the moment, which is the perfect punch against the southpaw.
Bryce Birtwistle having a close look as well. Mike Barry's taken a lot of punishment here in the first round, but digging deep and coming forward with some artillery of his own. Nice shot to the body as Brad Reid is on the retreat now.
Yeah, he's a very solidly built boy, Mike Barry. Brad Reid rips and hooks back beautifully there. Nice short left hook in close.
Excellent work from Brad Reid, and Bright Birtwistle comes across and warns Brad Reid for a low blow. Mike Barry's going to need some time to compose himself here, not only because of the low blow, but also the other punishment.
Yes, he was getting hit with everything with the corner stool at the same time.
Back underway, concluding stages of the first round of an exciting program for big-time boxing from Fort Knox in Melbourne. All the big names are here. Johnny Famishon, the former world champ, sitting ringside. And it's Brad Reid at the moment who's putting on a good show against Mike Barry.
Big round for Brad Reid.
No knockdowns, but almost a 10-8 round here to get proceedings underway. And Mike Barry heads back to the red corner. And here's Maury Thomson with Brad Reid.
Suck it up.
Yeah, he was very game that round, Mike Barry, but he copped plenty.
You've got to use that straight left. You've got to come in. You feeling all right?
not hurting you? He's not hurting you. Okay. But he's outscored you by 1,001. So you've got to come in closer to let your punches go, all right? And I want that left hand moving, straight left hand. It's all right, I got him. All right? Just relax. Put this back in.
Well, the corner optimistic, but Mike Barry certainly on the receiving end here in round number 1 against Brad Reid. And I mentioned Johnny Famishon was here. I should also point out that Lionel Rose is also in the house for us tonight.
Great
3
stuff.
world champions. Along with my co-commentator Barry Michael. Underway, round number 2 for the super middleweights. Brad Reid flying the Australian flag and doing it in style at the moment, facing our camera. The southpaw on the ropes is Mike Barry, who took all sorts of punishment there in the first stanza.
He sure did, but he was as game as Ned Kelly, and he took those shots pretty well, but his face is looking pretty red here after 1 round, and I think you're going to see a lot more of the same from Brad Reid.
Clubbing left hand from Brad Reid. Now Barry fires back. Certainly not the sting in his punches that Brad Reid is supplying at the moment. Brad Reid is bad intentions at the moment.
He sure is. Maybe trying, you know, to load his punches up a little bit too much at this stage, John. I think he needs to Brad just needs to compose himself a little bit and pick his shots, and I think he'll get what he's looking for.
And we know Brad Reid is tough. He's won the Australian Tough Man competition twice. And that battle involves almost anything goes.
That's for sure. But as you know, many good professional boxers, he's an absolute gentleman outside the ring.
Just outside the Australian top 10 at the moment, Brad Reid. And I'm sure moving here with Murray Thomson, where you'll see some more activity rather than up in far north Queensland, should bode well for his career, as again he backs up Mike Barry with some powerful shots.
Brad Reid's defence looking very tight here against his southpaw opponent.
The standing 8 count going to be applied here by Bryce Birtwistle as Mike Barry continues to soak up punishment.
4. I won't let you take those shots, mate. I don't care whether you can take them or not. You've got to move your head. Understand? I won't let them take you. You've got a swelling over your eye. Yeah. All right? Put your hands up. Next time I'll stop it, all right?
Good, very good refereeing there by Bryce Birtwistle.
Intelligent stuff.
Very good refereeing.
Trying to protect Mike Barry from further punishment. He wants him to fire some artillery, and so he obliges. One suspects that Brad Reid is only biding his time at the moment.
Undoubtedly so.
Oh, another big left hand from Brad Reid. And now he's going to wave this away. The mouth guard's popped out. Right, Birtwistle calls him over to the red corner. They're going to replace the mouth guard. Let them continue here.
Can't see it going much longer.
Concluding stages of round number 2. Brad Reid well on top against Mike Barry.
I'll be surprised if this goes with this. It goes the end of this round.
Bryce Birtwistle very close to pulling this up here. Mike Barry trying to throw something back, but Brad Reid is well on top, and it's a mismatch, and Brad Reid draws first blood for Australia. Brad Reid comes up with a stoppage in round number 2 over Mike Barry.
And I'll tell you what, John, Brad Reid really looked an improved fighter there to me. His defence was better, and he put his punches together very well.
Well, Murray Thomson can take a lot of credit for that. He has some very accomplished boxers in his camp at the moment.
He sure has. But Brad was very impressive there, and Mike Barry was as game as Ned Kelly, but he just wasn't firing back enough there.
Always tough when you're picking up a professional boxing career at 35 years of age. And Mike Barry showing the scars of war there. Because Brad Reid well on top in the opening round. Both Barry and I scored the first round 10-8 in favour of Brad Reid, despite there was no knockdown. He was that clearly on top, and it just continued in round number 2. Bryce Birtwistle did an excellent job of refereeing, where he stepped in and he warned Mike Barry that unless he could come up with something a little more, that he was going to pull the fight up, and that's what happened here toward the end of round number 2. And the Aussies are off to a good start, continuing on the good work started by the All Blacks, by the Wallabies over the All Blacks.
Coming at a time of 2 minutes 49 in round number 2, your referee Bryce Birtwistle calls a halt to proceedings, and your winner, Bad Intentions, Brad Reid.
I expect to see a lot more of Brad Reid here on Big Time Boxing. Chalks up his 5th victory of his career with a solid win over Mike Barry from New Zealand. So first blood to the Australians. Andy Bam Bam McEwen and Bruce Glozier from New Zealand will be up next. A lot to look forward to here on Big Time Boxing from Fort Knox in Melbourne. And certainly, as we come toward the end of the year, still some great boxing coming your way. Next up, Jamie Meyer has a big night on Friday, the 28th of November at the Southport RSL. Colin Wilson defends his Australian heavyweight title, the Australian champion. And a very good card put together by Jamie Meyer. So for all our Queensland viewers, please get along to the Southport RSL next Friday night from 7 p.m. as Johnny Famechon is introduced to the fans at Centre Ring as a special presentation is going to be made to my co-commentator Barry Michael. But Johnny Famechon, the world champion, 69, to make the presentation.
One of the real beauties of this fabulous sport is the history and the tradition, and tonight, with many legends and many famous faces ringside, we continue that legacy and that very proud history that this fabulous sport has, as I hand the microphone over to Mr. Brad Vic, the president of ANBF.
Andy, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on February the 16th in the year 1983, there were 2 significant events that affected the state of Victoria. 2 significant fights. The first one was in the foothills and the surrounding areas of Melbourne. It was a fearsome, dangerous and more than formidable opponent. But our brave firefighters in Victoria took on and were victorious. It wreaked havoc, heartbreak and of course a loss of life and property to many of the residents in those areas. The second was at the Melbourne Town Hall in what was sauna-like conditions. The Australasian Junior Welterweight Championship was being contested between the Australian Lightweight Champion Barry Michael and the Australian Junior Welterweight Champion Frank Ropus. 48 degrees greeted the fighters as they went to Centre Ring, and history tells us that Barry Michael won by TKO in the 11th round. It was a grueling contest, and for reasons unknown, Barry Michael never received what was rightfully his. He went on to win the Commonwealth Lightweight Championship for the 2nd time. He then went on and climbed the mountain and became the undisputed IBF Super Featherweight Championship of the world. It's my pleasure as the President of the Australian National Boxing Federation to invite the referee of that contest, the former featherweight champion of the world, Mr. Johnny Famechon, to strap the belt around the waist of Barry Michael that he so deservedly has been waiting for 20 years and 10 months.
A great moment for Barry Michael, who was inducted into the Australian Boxing Hall of Fame at their inaugural awards night earlier this year, along with Johnny Famechon. Great to see Famo ringside here, helping celebrate what was a great moment for Barry Michael.
The former Victorian, Australian and 2-time Commonwealth Lightweight Champion, the former Australasian Junior Welterweight Champion and the undisputed IBF Super Featherweight Champion of the world, Barry Michael.
Big favourite here in Melbourne, Barry Michael. And the fans showing their appreciations for a very memorable moment in Melbourne and Australian boxing.
In the history of Australian boxing, the former Victorian, the former Australian, the British and Empire champion, and the former undisputed WBC featherweight champion of the world, Johnny Famechon.
23-year-old when he beat Jose Legua of Cuba in a 15-round war as an underdog before losing the title in a disputed decision. 2 of the greats, Johnny Famechon and Barry Michael, at Centre Ring, and Barry will have to make his way back to the commentary position because next up, our live action, will see Andy Bam Bam McEwen in against Bruce Glozier as the Australia versus New Zealand rivalry continues here from Fort Knox. Tail of the tape, well, as you can see, Glosier is going to enjoy an edge in height and reach. And both men have come in under the 79.38 kilo limit for the light heavyweights. Big raps on Andy Bam Bam McEwen. And Bruce Glosier from New Zealand. Well, he is going to have his hands full here. Both men making their debut, but McEwen's amateur career reads very strongly indeed as we await the arrival of the security officer from Invercargill in New Zealand, Bruce Glosier.